Welcome back, everybody, to the North American Strikers League, where we have got match number 2 of the day coming up before too long. It is going to be, GOAT Esports taking on DUBU Strikers. So a couple of returning teams from our first North American Strikers League season, but with a little bit of couple changes coming through for each roster.
Yeah, this Sundubu Strikers roster is back and better than ever. They have Gromella, Threezy Breezy, and Obscure Breads. And as much as we love Reznok, I would be lying if I said that wasn't an upgrade at the goalie position, especially with how stacked the goalies in the North American Strikers League are looking right now.
Yeah, Obscure Bread's coming in from Best Western, the fifth place team in the Western Conference last season. And now also looking over towards Goats. Goats have made a similar change here where it's still Fudgy Waffles. It's still a Paul Me, now going by I Love Albion from Goats Esports in the previous split, but now bringing in Killiest from Oxygen Overdrive to come in and join them. So going to be a new goalie coming through for both squads.
Yeah, bit of a humorous rename for Apalmi, renaming to I Love Albion, along with KFC manager, who I think is I Love Albion too now. People were calling him out for being a Smurf when it turns out he just renamed his main. But yeah, it's a little bit of a question mark. These two rosters, Goats Esports did qualify through winner side. They beat Quest, and but it's still a big question mark, especially given how Quest lost to LP Thieves in the loser side. It's hard to gauge the strength of these teams before they really just get these games in the regular season.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, you don't get to play against the entire field in these qualifiers the same way you do in a full length NASL season. So there's definitely a little room for error in those results. And the full length season is going to give these teams more time to gel together, more time to adapt. And whereas a lot of the teams coming in to lift off and stuff, they get thrown together last second just to try to make it. So a really different environment now that we're in the league proper, and I'm really curious to see how some of these rosters start to gel as we get more and more time with them.
Yeah, we'll have to see, but this Goats Esports roster has also looked very good. In the show match, they did lose 2-0 to Orbits, but in game 1, with an extremely wacky comp, they looked like they made it go to the last goal, I believe. When I think
Definitely.
everyone would agree they had comp disadvantage. So even though they got 2-0'd, I think definitely not a bad look for them.
No, not a bad look for them at all here in their liftoff qualifier. They did still end up coming on in through the winner's side, so looking like one of our better qualifier teams. Of course, Sundubu Strikers, they don't have to go through the qualifier at all. They come in from Season 1 based on their solid performance there, and now are going to be looking to run back at least another playoffs showing versus what they showed in that very first season.
Yeah, and as these teams take a bit of a water break, it appears they'll probably be back soon. And I, I'm once again thinking like I just can't predict this game, right? There are such good players
It's a
on
close
both
one.
sides. These are two great teams in the West, overshadowed by Demons Raw. Like I'll be honest, but both teams definitely could be contenders. Maybe later in the season, challenging them for the title to the best of the West.
Yeah, for sure. And is if we're gonna go based off purely in season one Western standings, you would have Sundubu Strikers just a little bit higher, but they were very, very close, and it's really kind of the whole gambit being run from fourth place to seventh place. There, it's the Sundubu Strikers are a fourth place core bringing in a member of the fifth place team, and the Goats roster is a sixth place team bringing in a member from the seventh place team. So based purely on standings from season one, you would end up favoring Sundubu Strikers, but of course we all know that's not how putting together a team of three players works. You never know how the synergy is going to exactly come together, and you never know how much leveling up teams can do in the break in between seasons.
Yeah, especially given I guess how standings are so scary to look at, right? In the West League, back in the season 1 of North American Strikers League, there was like a 5-way tie or something for third place, and it was ridiculous. I think it was a 6-way tie for second place at one point. So all of these teams so close together, all of these players so good at the game. We'll see how they differentiate from each other in this consolidated season 2.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting showing here, especially now that we're in best of three formats. We're not going to end up with these draws. So we're going to, I think, have a lot firmer opinions on who beats who based on the results of these BO3s coming into that later postseason kind of ish stage. But that's getting way too ahead of ourselves. We've got plenty of weeks to go of just pure regular season posturing for the standings that are going to come on through ahead. And as you said, it's not just your standings in the North American Strikers League, but Best of the West is certainly a title that these teams are both going to want to compete for. It's been maybe a historically maligned division here, and now is going to be competing right alongside the Eastern Conference in a way that previously wasn't possible.
Yeah, we'll also see some other West versus East matchups later in the day. Technically, Chikara Chatting can be thought of as a central-ish team, has that Opabug
New
brawler.
breed.
Definitely a stalwart West player in Opabug, along with the not as West Evil Drew Danger and Liari. And also, of course, Demons going up against Oshino Coreflip later, so yeah, we'll have to see. But right now, it seems a certain brawler player on the side of Sundubu Strikers is missing in action.
Happens. So we'll have to pin them down and figure out exactly where one of our particular players are. But once we get that resolved, we're going to be getting right on into match number 2 of the day and finding out who is going to be joining the newly crowned first place team in the NASL, at least for the time being, which is of course going to be that core overflow squad who were able to take that game win in game number 1.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Hmm. I don't know, Gordo. What are your predictions? We heard the analysts' predictions, right? But two of them are Winterfall, one of them's K-Bot, one of them's Grimella. They're all biased. Like, let's be honest. As the impartial, as the GOAT commentator, who do you think will win each of these matchups here?
I gotta go for the Sundubu Strikers. I mean, for game number 1, I think that, or game number 2, the game that hasn't been played yet, the first upcoming game that we don't yet know what the result is going to be for certain. I'm going with the Sundubu Strikers. I think they had a really great performance in our very first season, and if you look up towards the records, right there ended up being quite a difference between teams that ended up making playoffs and teams that ended up not quite sneaking on in there. So especially in the Western Conference, I really do end up favoring what Sundubu were able to get done and how well they were able to perform and the synergy that they're coming in there with. So just based on core strength alone, I got to end up going with that squad.
All right, but match number 3. This is the spicy one. Sad Boys versus Chikara Chatting. Are you gonna go with the flow, or do you have any comments?
It's got to be Sad Boys, man. Again, it feels really early in the history of the esport to be talking about super teams, but come on, it's the two Eastern finalist teams just smashed together. You gotta believe that this team can be one of the best in the league, and I'm gonna be predicting Sad Boys until they give me a reason not to.
All right. Well, there might be a bit of a reason not to because they don't have their full starting roster today. So definitely a bit of an opening, but I would not
I
blame
won't change. I won't
anyone.
change. I'll put my faith in the name value alone until the name of the team, that is, not the name of the players, given that they do have a little bit of a substitution situation. But I'm gonna still come in with that. Chikara Chatting. They are still, definitely a dangerous squad, but have really come together off of a lot of different teams, right? Evil Drew Danger, who was previously a substitute over on Core Overflow, Liari, who was previously a substitute on Prod, and then Appabug coming in as our standout rookie, right? Coming in with their first season of the North American Strikers League. It's just a list of players that aren't really quite as known, especially for those who focus mainly on North American Strikers League and not some of the smaller tournaments. And you really got to give Sad Boys the edge in those sorts of matchups, even if they don't have the full roster that they would have been looking for.
Yeah, and right now we're waiting on some VC stuff. We're waiting on goats to actually. Oh no! Now they're in. Okay, okay.
All
There's
right,
been a
we
lot
got
of
it. We got
delays,
the
but
boys. We'll wrangle them. We're sending out Achi to go and find who exactly is missing, and if we can get them all corralled into whatever pen they need to be in to actually let this game get started.
yep. Um,
What's our next matchup? We got after that. It's gonna be Ra versus Oshino Core Flip. What exactly are your thoughts on that one, Saya? I want to give you a little chance to soapbox here.
So basically, I think if Oshi is going to win, it is going to be right now. This is their meta to play with. But
Fair.
this is quite possibly their worst possible matchup because Demon's Raw can play the kill mode just as well, if not better, than Oshino Core Flip.
True.
So I think they can make some big upsets happen in the early weeks. I just think this one's going to be a little too difficult.
Well, I do agree with that stylistically. You do also you got to give the rookies a little time to grow, right? It's again weird to say rookies. It's so early on into the lifespan of the North American Strikers League, but they're players who weren't here in season one. So I'm gonna call them rookies until somebody demands that I stop. And so Merchant and Kashikoma coming in without having played in the Strikers League previously, that's going to have to be somebody who I'm looking at Oshino Core Flip to potentially get better as the season goes on. But again, if the meta shifts away from them, that does kind of make that a little bit more difficult. Meanwhile, Demon's Ra, of course, bringing in that Bounty Hunter's core of Gumi and Kainoob. They have been looking so good. Bringing in Snake as well from Oxygen Overdrive. While we're on the subject of Oxygen Overdrive, by the way, Killiest going to be taking it to the field here before too long, as it looks like we are on to map number 1 for Goats Esports, taking on DUBU Strikers.
And a bit of a violent map here. Atlas's Lab, the damage will abound. The Zentaro ban, quite understandable. The character has been nerfed, but is still pumping out so much damage here. Atlas going to be taken off the table despite Obscure's hover. Will go DUBU instead, and now this is a bit of an opening. If Kilius plays a more damage-oriented goalie, this could lead to a damage advantage for Goats. But both sides picking the Luna, 3Z Breezy matching that signature Luna from Fudgy Waffles. Both players have picked it in the past. Definitely not just first picking it for fun. Atlas's Lab considered one of the better maps for it as well, and Kilius picks it to car goalie, and we'll have to see what the starting awakenings are because both sides do have a lot of damage, but right now I'm slightly favoring Goats.
You have some very different team compositions coming out of both sides here. Going to certainly throw a bit of a wrench into things. The Lunas, the only ones staying exactly the same, and we'll see what those Lunas are going to be able to get done here as I Love Albion and Grimella facing off on the top side to start things off, and now it's going to be a really early KO found by 3Z Breezy, just going on in with that boost, going to knock the other Luna right off the stage.
Yeah, the follow-up and has so many of those boosts to work with as well, being Twin Drive after all, and Fudgy Waffles is the one who gets the barrier this time, but 3Z Breezy and Grimella respond in kind with the top one. Barriers are dropping so quickly here. The center not being popped yet. Finally by Obscure, but 3Z gets yet another KO as Grimella looks to push the core up.
And DUBU Strikers, oh my goodness, that whammy very nearly just stopped Kilius from even being able to get the block on across. Again, both of these teams coming in with new goalies in this set. Really going to be having my eyes on that goalie arc to see what exactly is going to make the difference, as it's actually the Crater getting a crazy ricochet and ends up scoring the goal there.
Yeah, crazy balance, great redirects coming out from DUBU into it, to be fair, and now it just feels like right now in these early stages the Lunas are controlling the pace of the game as everyone else has to watch the core being flung around by dashes by rockets.
Yeah, just so much range, so much ability to really control the core at any distance. As long as you're willing to kind of throw your own body into the fray, you're going to really have a lot of ability to manipulate where things are going here. 3Z stepping forward, doesn't quite find the target here, but is still keeping on up that pressure. Grimella going to be able to keep on smacking it forward, and with twin drives across the board, there is just so much mobility available, as now here it comes that Crater again going to knock away the core, but the goal has been opened on up for the side of the DUBU Strikers. 3Z knocks it on down towards Grimella. The rollout not going to find its target, but the follow-up comes through from Obscure Breads. Grimella stepping forward with the whiplash. Can't quite get it into the goal, and it does get snuck past him. The core flip not going to land. Now I Love Albion with a chance to step forward, but knocked back away, and Grimella actually sneaks it in. The slow motion core that Kilius just can't get to in time.
The perils of the eject button Ricard, pushing up a little too much. The midfield control is amazing, but in those moments, it is a little bit dangerous in terms of the defensive aspects, as Fudgy gets a quick barrier. It's responded to by Grimella, and we're going to see more of those as the game progresses. Those dashes into flips mid-dash, just Send the core hyper speed, but Obscure Breads is the one who gets the KO with the Summer Assault.
Yeah, just everybody pouring everything on into that little Luna, and it's going to just take them right off, as there's going to be a KO found by Killiest off the top side to even things out as Fudgy Waffles rejoins the fray. But these combos from 3Z Breezy have been crazy, going whammy into boost over and over again, keeping the HP so low on Fudgy Waffles, and the HP is so low to begin with that there's not a lot of chances to really be able to get out of this without at least being staggered, if not being KO'd entirely, as there's going to be Albion taking things up towards the top side, knocked back away by the black hole. Here's the core flip from 3Z, but gets blocked away by Killiest. Nice timing there to stuff it, as Albion finds themselves another KO on the bottom side. Here comes the Flame Flurry, knocked up towards Fudgy, but the defense from Obscure Breads is there. Albion dashing forward, another block from the Somersault, but the pressure is on, and Obscure Breads, no more tools to defend, will end up getting scored on.
Great strike or great strike placement from Apalmi here, or should I say Albion. And I don't know, like, DUBU got the 2-0 lead, but it's definitely not looking like a one-sided game. Fudgy Waffles in there with the boost as always, and Killiest, as long as he doesn't get too ahead of himself with the eject, with the Xenoclove, has been a wall.
Yeah, tons of damage coming on across there from that Molten Bolt as well. Grimella already sent into that stagger. Fudgy Waffles ready to receive up the top side, knocks it on down towards the center, hitting everybody for even more damage once again. And honestly, between that center black hole and all the craters coming on across from both sides, expect to see far fewer core flips this game than normally, as everybody has to keep using that energy just to dodge away from this damage. As KO is found on the stealth Drakkar, and that's going to end up scoring for Grimella, a set win for the DUBU Strikers.
Killiest invisible, but we can see how he falls off the stage, and the DUBU Strikers will be happy with that one. We'll be able to pick up some good awakenings here, build different, definitely a priority pick for that. Rasmus size is just so incredible, but missile propulsion left behind for this Drakkar. Waits a little bit, goes to Ponder instead, and Egoist will be picked up.
Egoist for Breads. I was going to say, I think Egoist is real good in a double Luna game. Again, talking about everybody's going to be forced to dodge a whole bunch here, especially if any of them find any awakenings later on to reduce that cooldown. You know, you don't mind having an Egoist at that point to maybe get you a little something back.
Yeah, 3Z Breezy though has my personal favorite Luna Awakening, Missile Propulsion, and Killiest will have to be careful for those rockets because they will come from way farther than usual and do a little bit more. And right now, 3Z Breezy getting right in there with the boost, unable to get the barrier defended by Killiest, but Grimella wins the strike. Killiest ejects back just in time, but look at the damage is just piling up.
Knock back away, and you know, using that missile propulsion already ended up with a KO on I Love Albion. Killiest now taking things into their own hands on the bottom side. Albion can't quite get his hands on it, but does find it on the bottom. 3Z, though, continues to direct it away, and that damage from missile propulsion showing itself right there as Albion loses a huge chunk of HP right off the bat. He's now going to look to regen. Look at his health bar. He's already fully staggered, and now just has to play defense for a little bit longer, and there he gets taken right off the side from one more whammy. Killiest now has their work cut out for them, as they're going to have to keep that defense up. Fudgy Waffles up to receive on the top side, just gets pendulum swung right back into the net, and the pressure does not relent. Grimella scores again.
Obscure Breads walking up for the Tofu Fortress 2, just lock the core in and creates just incredible terrain, a bit of a cage that Killiest, it's just so hard to escape from. And look at the meter, it is so good for the side. Oh, just about to say that Fudgy Waffles goes for the KO, but great elusive by 3Z, finds the window, and right now it's just a margin of frames here.
Double twin drives, or I mean, I guess the sextuple twin drives, really, but particularly on these Lunas, it's just ridiculous. These guys are flying all over the map constantly, and it's really having such a big influence on the game. Grimella finding a big KO there off the pendulum swing is going to take one of those Lunas out of the equation for at least a little bit longer. 3Z Breezy ready to receive on the bottom side, gets it on up to Grimella. There's an opened up goal up against Killiest. He does have that core flip and just gets it knocked right back in. 3Z Breezy reads it with the whammy and gets them up 2-0 in set number 2.
Bit of a missile propulsion jump scare there. Killiest not expecting the Lunar Rocket from that range. 3Z Breezy was sitting quite far away and will smartly burn the entire meter against the nuke. We see how much damage it does right away as Fudgy Waffles doesn't elusive and gets taken down to basically nothing.
flip back over from Albion once again. Fudgy Waffles taken into that staggered state, but willing to step up nonetheless, and they're going to finish the job. Albion taking out that Rasmus to buy them a little bit more space to play with, and now with the Phoenix forward, going to be able to pick on up that second barrier, and Fudgy Waffles just unrelenting, smacks it forward again and again and again, and will be able to score the first one in a while here.
Yeah, dribbling it over with the boost and the strikes, keeping it trapped in that corner where it's so hard for Obscure Breads to clear away because of those threats on the other side. As Fudgy Waffles once again going in, has the flip, will try to find the angle, but Grimella and Obscure are both there with the strikes, and Obscure does have flip as well, so they're looking a little safe.
Really nicely played there as Kilius going to try to clear things out once again. Fudgy Waffles up on the top side. There's a big crater, but Albion manages to evade it, find the KO, find the score. 2-2 here. A great run so far from the Goats in this set number 2.
Yeah, the Goats kind of finding their stride. They're realizing, oh, we have a little bit more damage if we can tag Obscure Breads with that Molten Bolt, get some damage with the Lunar Rockets on that DUBU. Then there's not really much they can do to fight back.
Knocked away from Breads is going to find one of those barriers. Kilius knocks up towards the top side, but Breezy is now in the goal arc of the other side. These two dashing forward, continuously trying to find angles. Now again, Breezy doesn't find their mark this time, and is going to end up probably a bit out of position as a result, but now ready to receive down on the bottom side. You got to be looking in so many places at once when you're piloting this Luna, and ending up out of position can definitely hurt you, as Albion going to get taken right off the map there. Now a double elusive comes on across. Breezy has to use the core flip just to protect themselves there, but can still keep on the aggression. Kilius knocking it back aside. Fudgy Waffles ready to clear towards the top as well. Albion back onto the map, and one goal barrier left remaining apiece, but there's going to be the opened up found for the DUBU Strikers, as Grimella is looking to finish the job. Avoids once again, now knocked on down towards the bottom. Breezy ready to receive up on the top side. Albion lets it sneak past him. Fudgy Waffles keeps the pressure on. And Saya, this has continued to go back and forth into overtime at this point.
Yeah, but Obscure Breads has just been so good, but a KO found. A Lunar Rocket from Fudgy Waffles is perfect. And now there is pressure being put on. Albion looking for the flip here. Obscure Breads trying to keep it away. Has a strike war against the Rocket. An incredible weight, but the DUBU Strikers manage to defend until the respawn.
Kilius knocks it down towards the bottom. Grimella with a big death touch, but a nice block by Kilius, going to keep it alive as this set is coming down to the wire, fully into overtime at this point. Grimella knocking it forward. Pendulum swing will be what closes out, and it's the DUBU Strikers with a 2-0 set lead in game number 1.
What an ambiguous bounce too, because it could have been a demon angle as well. So good from Grimella to do that mix-up, and they will be rewarded with that happy star of the extra special on the DUBU most likely. A great deny away from the Luna, as well as being one of DUBU's best options.
Yeah, definitely do not want any more craters coming out on the map there, so the extra special denial going to be huge when they can pick it on up for Obscure Breads.
But
specialized training taken away as well.
But this is just this patch in a nutshell. No matter how much you take away, there will always be something else, and especially in this carousel, the Deadeye is there, the Prize Fighter is there. Both Lunas going up incredibly in terms of KO power.
Yep, it's still going to be strong. It's still going to be a problem. The Deadeye in particular, really something to be on the lookout for coming out of Fudgy Waffles and their kill pressure. They're going to find one right off the bat there. Albion there with the assist is going to be able to keep on the pressure up against Obscure Breads. Knocked back up towards Fudgy Waffles, and Kilius doing some great defense work here to buy space up against Obscure Breads. Knocked back away. Albion now in that staggered state. Dodges away from Breezy, who is looking for blood. Going in again. Going to end up missing Albion for the second time, but Grimella is all in on the core here. Finds both barriers. Whiplash forward. Can't quite get it in, but does open things up plenty and makes Kilius' job a whole lot harder. Obscure Breads receiving up on the top side. Goes down for the soup to clear things out, and Kilius now knocking back away. Grimella ready to receive on the bottom. Gets the whiplash denied. Knocked up towards Fudgy Waffles. Obscure Breads ready to defend. There's the KO found by Albion. Breezy goes for the shot. Can't find it. Off the rocket. And now bounced off the bottom. Obscure Breads almost finding an angle there up against Kilius. And now Kilius now knocking it back up towards the top side. Albion finds themselves a double KO right as Grimella rejoins the fray. Knocked aside. Fudgy Waffles can't get it. Albion up towards the top. Knocked back away by the the boost, opens up the goal here for the Goats, and now Albion wants to finish it off, but is sent into the stagger, has to keep on the back foot. Breezy going forward with another boost, call that another boost, but still can't get the job done, and Kilius now has to receive on the bottom side. Camilla looking to buy some space, but a core flip from Kilius goes in for the shot, and one more boost from Fudgy Waffles to score.
What a great follow by Fudgy Waffles. Sees that there's really no way out for Obscure Breads in that moment. Obscure Breads not expecting it, goes for the roll a little bit late, but can we talk about how long that DUBU held? But wait a second, Breezy gets taken low in an instant. Albion is hunting, burns the elusive as Breezy has no elusive, is instantly deleted by the specialized Flame Flurry.
Really great play there by Albion, now buying the numbers advantage back to the squad. 5 seconds to go, no more Luna, and there's another KO found. Obscure Breads keeping the defense up, though, avoids the goal from being opened up. There's another Crater to try to buy space from Breezy, but it's dodged away from Fudgy, and Albion will not give up this pressure, but the respawns come through, now back at full force. The DUBU Strikers looking to try to strike back and keep their lead in this game number 1. They do manage to keep things over on the right side, but they do get their goal opened up, and Albion looking to finish off the job. Fudgy Waffles up on the top side does tank that pendulum swing, and that's a nice death touch to deny the boost, actually, and keep things cleared away. Breezy keeping on the pressure with that Crater across the map, but another spike from Fudgy Waffles going to find the second goal.
Fudgy Waffles has been so precise with those boosts, showing the experience, showing why this pick, why this team was the only team to take a game off of the Bounty Hunters in NASL Season 1 West in the regular season.
Yeah, really coming alive here. 2-0 now in this set number 3 after a rough first couple of sets, but now Gramella and Breezy, they're coming online and they are looking to turn it back around. Gramella smacking it up towards the top side, ready to receive. There's going to be that Crater coming on through from Breezy just to try to keep the pressure on, but they do manage to clear out that core off the center now. Invisible Kilius does come back alive. There's going to be Fudgy. He manages to get a goal barrier, but it's at the cost of his life. Taken off the map, and now Gramella ready to keep on forward. Obscure Breads throws down the soup, passed on up. Gramella gets it towards the bottom and finds the first goal for the DUBU Strikers in set number 3.
The shotgun just not long enough to reach it, not enough to bounce it up. A great angle found by Gramella. But a bit of a prize fighter check right here. Breezy has 2 stacks. One more stack could be deadly here. But Breezy has no elusive right now, has to stay alive, and runs to the other side to try and escape.
Yep, just trying to move themselves out of dodge, knowing that Kilius is not going to be as big of a threat as these 2 forwards will be. There's going to be the core flip coming on through from Albion, smacked back away by Obscure Breads. But Albion is not letting up, but taking more and more damage the longer they sit here. Gramella pumping it out, as is Obscure Breads, but Albion finds the KO. Gramella finds the response, but it's the goal that's been opened on up. Gramella pulls it back to themselves. There's the core flip from Kilius, knocked back away by Gramella, but he's going to have to play some assist goalie here, as there's Breezy knocking it back away. Obscure Breads back on the map, goes in for the rollout, and here is another Crater to just buy the last bit of time they need. They've successfully fought their way back in this, but DUBU now down a member once again, and it's Obscure Breads who is going to have to pay the price for it. Fudgy Waffles knocks it in towards the top, down towards Albion. Flame Flurry comes across, another huge block. Obscure Breads managing to keep up the defense here. Great play by the new goalie for the DUBU Strikers.
Yeah, and this is why they're one of the best goalies in the world, but the goal is still open. Still plenty of cooldowns for DUBU to have to defend against, as right now they try to put up the offense, but finally a great pass by Juliet to Luna. Fudgy Waffles into the bottom pocket, and the reverse sweep could start here.
A massive run there by Obscure Breads, but still wasn't quite enough to pull them back in set number 3, and now we go to set number 4. We get another round of Awakenings coming on across, and see what they end up going for. Kilius with the first selection takes the orb to answer.
Kilius is orbing right now, has both orbs, 10 stacks here, and Fudgy Waffles has a chance to get the Super Surge, and this KO pressure from this Luna Dead Eye Super Surge will be ridiculous. Stagger Swagger, an amazing pickup for that DUBU Obscure Breads if they can stay alive, but will Stagger Swagger be enough into the face of how much damage this is?
That is definitely the question. going to need it to be, as Obscure Breads recognizes the position they're in. Look at that damage on the Freezy Breezy to start things off. Fudgy Waffles immediately just trying to go in for the throat and gets the KO there. Fudgy Waffles, huge play, but now opening on up across from Gramella. Great job there, as the Goats now have no barriers left for their goal. Fudgy Waffles keeping on the pressure. Obscure Breads loses one of those barriers, but buys enough time for Freezy Breezy to rejoin the play. Knocked on away from the rollout. Pressure still on up, and they do manage to force it through. Great job by Albion there to open things up. Another pendulum swing comes on across. Fudgy Waffles up on the top side, knocks it away. Freezy Breezy clears it down. Gramella receives up off the center, knocked in towards that middle ground, and can't quite find its way through onto the goal. Obscure Breads still going to be playing that defense, just waiting for it to come on across, and Freezy Breezy looking for big whammy angles, but so far has not found them.
Yeah, but look at the KOs coming out. The KO pressure in this game is ridiculous, as Fudgy Waffles, one of the biggest factors here. Both Lunas fly across the map expecting the clear to go their way, but it goes neither. It goes into no man's land, as both goalies are continuing to ping-pong it, continuing to try and find an opening for their forwards, but so far it is the flip coming out, but a bit of a dib as Kilius just runs away.
Great job there, knocked off the top side. Gramella goes in for the death touch, pulls it to themselves, stepping forward. Freezy Breezy can't quite get his hands on it, but as you said, these KOs have made all the difference. Freezy Breezy taken incredibly low, but Gramella takes it mano-y-mano up against Kilius and knocks it in with a big pendulum swing.
And wow, what a great play from Gramella. Knows that Kilius is antsy about clearing it down back into the corner, catches the up clear with a slight angle to the primary, and now look at all the meter. Obscure Breads is just playing up, knows that the bottom side is blocked off, goes for the flip, kind of dips a little bit, but has so much meter left even after it.
Gramella taking a huge amount of damage, as is Freezy, and that is going to be a double KO found for Fudgy Waffles, turning it back around. Goats really looking to come back into this game and looking fantastic ever since they got these awakenings onto Fudgy, on the Luna. Freezy taking it back away. Here comes a big crater, going to deflect away thanks to the soup. Good job by Obscure Breads, but again, taken off the map is Freezy Breezy, and again, a double KO for Fudgy Waffles. Gramella cannot stand up to this. That's going to be 1-1.
What a combo, just dash, punch, boost. Wow, that's just ridiculous. Disgusting levels of knockback. And the issue is Obscure Breads is forced into those positions. You'll see that scene more than once through the rest of the game, as Albion once again getting the barriers.
Obscure Breads clears it back up towards the top side. Gramella taking control on the bottom. Kilius, though, has done a great job defending up against these Rasmus pushes, and that is not changing now. Another pendulum swing, but not at the right angle to find its way onto the barrier, and Obscure Breads has already lost one off the center, finds the bottom barrier. Freezy Breezy just needs to find a way to be useful at this point. He's been taking down so consistently in this set number 4. It's been very difficult for DUBU strikers to find any ground. Freezy now on the bottom side. Albion taken low. A big KO found by Fudgy Waffles on the full HP target. It's now all up to Freezy, who's on the wrong side of the map. Knocked away by Albion. Freezy gets the response KO. And now it's just these two Lunas and their goalies. Gramella back on up. Now going to look to take control, but Fudgy takes down another one. A 6 KO streak for this Luna, coming fully online in set number 4. Gramella knocked up towards the top side. Obscure Breads clears it out from the left. Here's Freezy Breezy back onto the map. Albion clears it back away, and now Freezy Breezy takes control outside of the crater. Gramella on the bottom, receives the core, knocked off the center. Kilius clears it back out, and Obscure Breads has to play defense, knocks it away from Fudgy, but another KO found under Gramella. Another one for Fudgy Waffles. That's gotta be 8 at this point, Saya, and they just can't stop this Luna.
But the Goats need to find the goal right now, because the more they stall, the more chances that DUBU has to take this barrier, as they get a return kill onto Albion, and suddenly they're at a striker disadvantage. But a great boost by Fudgy will secure the goal, will secure the lead, and look to push them towards the 5th set.
This is absolutely insane from Fudgy Waffles. Another great angle found on the headbutt there. Knocks it into the goal. Now up 2-1 in set number 4. Looking for the reverse sweep from being down 0-2 in sets. And they are looking to take us to set number 5. Knocked up towards the top side. Threezy looking to KO Kilius. At least knocks him aside and finds one of the barriers. Rollout coming aside. Grimella now stepping up with Obscure Breads. And DUBU Strikers are looking to take a more aggressive game plan, but they lose both their barriers for it. And Obscure Bread's now going to be relegated back to that goal arc if they want to not end up dropping the whole set right here. Going to try to drag it out for longer, but this top barrier has been completely inaccessible to them for the last few minutes. And again, a core flip comes on across, but it's going to end up costing Grimella his life. Threezy Breezy up in the middle, going to go in for the flip, knocks it back up to himself, goes in for the whammy, can't find it, up against Kilius, knocked aside by Fudgy Waffles. Here comes Albion on the top side, but Grimella with some great damage off the whiplash, knocks him aside with that crater. Threezy back up towards the top, but the core flip comes across once again, and Albion smacks it in. We're going to set number 5.
What a beautiful pass by Fudgy Waffles. The GOAT deserved first pick, and look at his build so far. He has Twin Drive, Super Surge. He has the Deadeye as well on top of that, and will pick up whatever he wants here.
Nothing actually too crazy here. No more damage. There's nothing left.
But the big fish will do a lot for that core control for that hitbox of the Luna, as Orb Replicator has to be denied by the DUBU here, because if it's left up, Kilius has double orbs, 10 stacks each.
Yeah, huge there. That little quick strike, though, I want to call this out. That could be a huge deal here for Grimella on this Rasmus, just creating a little bit of extra room to play when you're in these tight situations, trying to fight up against the goalie. Having that little bit of extra strike cooldown could end up making a difference. That's really what they need for the DUBU Strikers here, as they're on the verge of getting reverse swept. A huge comeback for GOATs in this game number 1, and not slowing down at all.
Yeah, but Grimella, as you said, has been the one actually in these disadvantages, really just making a difference. Getting both barriers sometimes with just a single primary. So if they can get more strikes out, if they can outplay here, this could be the big difference. But so far, GOATs have been holding. Finally, the barrier taken down by the flip as Threezy Breezy gets a KO onto the car, and that is 10 stacks erased on both orbs.
Huge, 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 huge. Kilius taken off the map, and as you said, those orbs fully reset. Threezy Breezy on full stacks of Prize Fighter as well, so got that maximum damage to back them up. Great job there, and great goal found by the DUBU Strikers, who are looking to slam the door on this reverse sweep. But again, both barriers found instantly when it's been such a struggle to even get one of them for the DUBU Strikers this whole way through. Core flip comes through, stuffed again by Kilius, knocked up towards Grimella, who really has to get it on through here to buy them some space in this match.
Yeah, but right now, Grimella and Threezy have been suffocating that barrier, but still unable to get it as Fudgy passes it to Albion. But again, Obscure Breads has had fantastic log usage, stuffing players, stuffing the core, as Fudgy is looking very low, has to be so careful here.
Knocked on down towards the bottom. It's Obscure Breads knocking it back up. Fudgy Waffles very low. Threezy Breezy finishes the job, gets on a 4 KO streak of their own, and shuts down the streak that they had built up for so long for Fudgy Waffles. Huge KOs being found by the DUBU Strikers here in this set number 5 in their efforts to close out game number 1. It looked like it was going to be theirs for the first 2 sets, and they're going to try to make sure that it stays that way. Albion already in the staggered state, knocked back aside by both members. They find the goal. It gets opened up, pass down to Threezy, off the back of the core flip. Obscure Breads ready to receive, denies the boost shot from Fudgy Waffles with their own core flip, sneaks it past Kilius, and it's a 2-0 set for the DUBU Strikers in set number 5.
What a tough angle. What a great shot by Obscure Breads. And despite how many best in slots there are on Fudgy Waffles, Threezy Breezy, if they can maintain these 3 stacks of Prize Fighter, it might just be curtains.
That is what they're going to need here. Threezy stepping forward, gets one of the barriers, knocking aside Kilius. There's the second one. Grimella steps forward, throws down that Death Touch, can nearly get it in off that alone. Now, Obscure Breads roll out once again, down towards Grimella. Here comes Fudgy Waffles in with the boost, keeping on the pressure. Albion sneaks on forward with that Flying Phoenix, gets that second barrier. Open goals for both teams. Albion taking control on the top side. Soup back away to deny the pressure. 3Z has the core flip on the bottom side, goes in for it, goes for the reflect, can't get it past Fudgy Waffles, but Grimella now has it up against Kilius, and one more pendulum swing will do it. The DUBU Strikers take game number 1.
Clinical Grimella has been that scoring presence despite the scaling of GOATs. They come back in the end. They survive the onslaught and they secure it. And that really just could have gone either way, but it is just the impeccable play from 3Z Breezy and Grimella. And of course, Obscure Bread staying alive, keeping them through it. But in that last set, getting those KOs early just turned the tide completely, building up those stacks, taking the stacks off Kilius, completely changed the game.
Absolutely did. Really made it way tougher for this Drakkar to go for everything they were going for. They were getting that Xeno Cloak off cooldown so constantly. They were moving around so quickly. It was really tough for them to find anything, but they get that one KO. It resets all of that, and they managed to get themselves the dub here. Was a long, hard battle compared to what they thought it was going to be, with that first 2 set being taken so dominantly, but they do find it at the end of the day.
Sorry, I was eating breakfast. My bad.
Oh, no worries. You know, it's early in somewhere. I mean,
it's early for the Omega Strikers community.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You know, that's what we get for scheduling these matches at mid-afternoon. Sometimes you're going to interrupt a little bit of breakfast here and there. A great run, though, from the DUBU Strikers. A great start here. And now, you know, it's not over yet. There's still more matches to be played, and it is still a full best of 3. So the GOATs have got to feel a lot better about their chances than they would if it was just a quick 3-0 sweep, right? They very nearly were able to take it back here. Now just going to try to change a couple of those factors, get themselves, you know, maybe not so pushed up against the wall so early, and they'll have a little bit more time to play with.
Yeah, and right now, DUBU looking so good right now, but we saw how dominant GOAT looked with that scaling, with the awakenings they wanted. So it really comes down to a lot of the map, a lot of the awakenings, but also how these teams can push those tiny advantages, right? Because GOAT had the big advantage that was pretty obvious with those awakenings. But that tiny advantage, the tiny KOs at the start of the final round, Grimella getting to play the game a little bit more with those quick strikes, able to outplay a little bit better. And all of those added up in DUBU's favor.
Yeah, and the KO math just ended up starting to favor Fudgy Waffles again as well. Remember, they had that prize fighter, and they kept getting knocked off the map. There was a stage there around, you know, set number 4 where it's like Fudgy Waffles was off the map more than they were on it. They really didn't have a lot of opportunities to play the game, but they managed to turn that calculus for the KOs back in their favor, and they were sitting at 3 stacks for a lot of set number 5. So props to them for being able to turn around those fortunes and being able to find a way back.
And the KOs will just not end as we load onto Demon Deus, and the damage just doesn't stop.
All right, Demon Deus is going to be our second and potentially final map of this match number 2. Will be up to whether or not the GOATs can fight back. And looks like a little Zentaro ban getting hovered here for the side of the DUBU Strikers.
Yeah, definitely understandable. The X being taken off the table as well. 2 big brawlers not going to be here, but big power picks in the Vice still up, as we'll see if either team picks it. And the Luna as well, always.
Definitely. Starting on off here, Juliet going to be locked in for 3Z. It's going to be locked in for both sides. This is the only brawler really left, unless you want to take Asher or somebody, but going to be a Julie angle for both of these squads, a Rasmus angle for both of these squads, and then it's Drakkar compared to Luna. Looking like Rasmus goalie here for Obscure Breads. Do you think it's going to be that for both sides?
Yeah, Rasmus goalie, a very, very strong pick on this map. So not a surprise to see it for both sides. Will probably be the pauldrons for both as well. But it's really up to this Juliet mirror. We'll see how it goes, and also how well this Luna can do in this environment. But as specialized training is revealed for everyone except Obscure Breads, once again, the damage just does not stop.
knocking through here right away. Grimella and Threezy Breezy taking it to him instantly up against the Goats here. Really looking to reclaim themselves from how close that game number one ended up being. Smacked back away Obscure Breads with that pendulum swing, keeping on the pressure from the sides. Threezy knocks up towards the top side. Obscure Breads way far out, but it pays off big time as Threezy Breezy finds their way into the first goal.
Threezy Breezy cleaning it up, and it was so impressive and so like tragic at the same time how Killiest and the team were winning every single strike war, but they had to win like 20 different strike wars because of where the core was going.
Definitely. Breezy now on the bottom, camping this orb, going to be able to secure it for themselves. Albion still stuck at level 1, as is Fudgy. You can just see just a lot more engagement with the game coming through from the DUBU Strikers here early on in set number 1, and the fact that these specials aren't yet available is making a bit of a difference here. Off the ricochet, they do manage to find themselves that first orb. Now Grimella up on the top side, going to get hit by that blast, that crater. The special is finally available for Fudgy, but they've already lost both their goal barriers for it. Threezy looking forward with that Flying Phoenix. Can't get it past Killiest. Obscure Breads, alright, hits their own barrier there off the back of that Death Touch. Maybe didn't mean for that to play out that way, but they do manage to clear it back out one way or the other.
Yeah, and that stretch where the Goats did not have specials was so hard for them. That's why part of why DUBU could build such a massive advantage, because, well, this is specialized training. Those specials are even more impactful right now as they try to go for a KO on Threezy Breezy, but he is saved by the sound waves on the sides, the speakers, if you will. But Grimella is just controlling the core so well in the midfield, continuing to send it back and forth, and finally catches Killius a little bit too much towards the top side. Great angle.
Great shot there from Grimella, right as they're getting hit as well. Getting knocked aside by the pendulum swing. Fudgy Waffles had a whammy in coming at him, but gets one more shot on the fadeaway and does manage to sneak it through for the goal. The Obscure Bread's great play coming on up towards the center here on Rasmus. Does pull it away, keeping it away from this barrier. Does manage to sneak one in there from Fudgy Waffles. And now Grimella very close to getting KO'd. Does manage to stay alive, but Albion's looking to change that, chasing him all the way to the ends of the earth here, and wants to see if they can find it, keeping him knocked in towards the goal arc at the very least. Some Obscure Breads on the bottom. There's a big hook by Killius, and that'll be all she wrote for old Grimella.
Yeah, but right now the pressure is still not letting up. Even with the striker disadvantage, the core control for the DUBU Strikers, it feels just completely superior as Killius loses track of the core. Own barriers as a mistake, and Threezy Breezy just hits it into the bottom side. A clean 3-0 for the DUBU Strikers.
They look mad. They look mad off the back of how close that game number 1 ended up being there, Saya, and they are really taking it to him here in set number 1. Now, I'm not going to be confident until they fully close out the 3-0, though, because we've seen how much the Goats were able to come back if they were able to find the awakenings that they needed. Heavy Impact, maybe something to be on the lookout for here. Stacks on Stacks going to be that first selection.
This draft is just this entire patch in a nutshell. Look how much stuff is up, both sides. Heavy Impact, Stacks, Prime Time, Quick Strike, Super. This is just everything is up right now, and even the last pick, Julie, will still have a choice between Bulk Up, Quick Strike, and Super Surge. Ends up with the Bulk Up, a fine choice given the amount of damage that's flying around.
Wow, yeah, that's quite the selection of awakenings coming through here. Definitely going to mean we're going to get some interesting ones later on with all of those high priority awakenings taken off the board. Knocked back away, Grimella up on the top side. Now everybody just playing in midfield here, looking for this very small amount of space in between the barriers that this map represents. Going to end up now just trying to open things on up just a little bit further, but it's Albion who is being pushed away by Threezy Breezy, still at that level disadvantage. And now Threezy Breezy stepping on forward, finds one barrier up against Killiest. Here comes the second one, can't quite find the punch. But now pushing on in from the sides, the speakers do start blasting. Threezy Breezy going to be looking for another core flip angle here. Grimella taking incredibly low. There's the core flip. It finds that barrier. And now with the goal opened on up, Killius snags it for himself with the Death Touch and clears it back out. But going to have to deal with that goal for the rest of the round.
Yeah, and importantly in that last draft, Threezy managed to pick up that size, I believe, right? And that has just been so great in terms of taking the barriers to the larger hitboxes as well. Threezy Breezy has just been in there. And right now that flip just goes around the world. Grimella trying to redirect it, goes back to Threezy, back to Grimella. And we've seen how well They can place their shots, but the core just slips right past, gets past Obscure as well, and all of the barriers are down right now as Kilius has Flip. Will use it defensively. Fudgy doesn't even need to touch the core as it's a perfect demon angle.
Great job on the angle there. Kilius going to be the one who ends up with the score. Turning things back around for the GOATs at least a little bit. This was their first goal of the game. I'll see if they're going to be able to keep that momentum going. He is much larger than previous now on the Rasmus and is going to have a much easier time defending here. That's true for both Rasmuses, Rasmi at this point. So Obscure Brett's knocking it down towards the bottom. Breezy going to clear it out there and going to try to find that last angle, but Albion gets a huge KO on the goalie. Grimella and Breezy have to rush to get back here and defend, but that's both barriers taken off. Breezy now on the back foot. The core flip from Grimella can't quite get the shot away. Fudgy gets the KO in a 2-0 lead in set number 2 for the GOATs.
What a good KO as well. Those stacks on stacks erased, I believe. Yup, 0 pancakes to speak of here. And this is just an advantage that the GOATs can press here.
I love Albion clearing things out up towards the top side and gonna have to go elusive. A lot of damage getting dished out there and getting knocked aside by Breezy. Kilius knocks it down towards Fudgy. Continues to go on in with those whammies. Core flip found for Fudgy, going in for the angle, but can't quite find it. Grimella taken incredibly low. I love Albion waiting to receive, but really getting bullied around by Obscure Breads and Grimella at this point. Gonna get sent into that staggered state as well. And Breezy coming on up to finish the job. A nice evade. Going to keep I Love Albion alive for just a little bit longer. But now, Kilius pushing it on back. Pendulum swing comes through, pulls back in Breezy. There's the KO onto Breezy. And they could potentially get themselves a 3-0 set of their own here for the side of the GOATs if they are able to turn it back around. Albion ready to receive on the bottom side. Fudgy Waffles knocks it on down, but cleared back away again. Some really nice goalie play from Obscure Breads here. Just continues to weave the core around the barriers.
Yeah, and right now, Fudgy Waffles is playing so well, but Obscure Breads is defending completely as Grimella is taken off the board, and now Obscure has a choice between two very difficult clears. Strike War won by Fudgy. Killy sending it back up. I Love Albion looking for a bit of a dash punch here, but it'll just be cleared away as Grimella respawns yet again. Looks for the barrier as well, but the strikes are continuously going to the left side of the field. Obscure Breads barely getting that one here as rockets are flying through for Fudgy. Continuing to go through as Kilius tries to use a primary as well, has the flip, has the redirect for the Juliet, but still unable to find any offensive pressure. The barrier is staying up. The goal is staying alive right now.
All right, here it comes. Obscure Breads now again. Still, it's been all on him for so long. Hasn't been able to get it into the hands of the forwards to actually be able to find these barriers. And Fudgy stepping forward, looking to finish the job. I Love Albion steps up, goes in with the Flying Phoenix, and off the crater. Fudgy Waffles completes a 3-0 set for the GOATs.
Almost a fantastic clear by Obscure, gets the timing, but the direction is completely covered by Fudgy Waffles, who has just been ridiculously good so far. Can pick the extra special here, probably will pick the extra special here unless some catastrophic extinction event occurs, and specialized extra special Luna is definitely something to be feared.
Yeah, certainly is going to be. And that extra special makes a huge difference here with how often that crater is going to be coming on up. And the rest of these, a little bit more negligible here. Going to be the reverberation picked up, a little bit of extra stagger for the Julie. Fire up comes through for the Rasmus. Kilius going to at least be able to support the team that way.
Yeah, and hot shot and heavy impact on Grimella is not to be understated, as long as they're connecting with the core and hopefully a player as well, they'll have basically unlimited cooldowns to play with. But it's all dependent on whether they can stay alive, because this damage is just pouring in from the side of GOATs Esports.
Yeah, for sure. GOATs moving forward. Kilius trying to keep things cleared out. There's going to be one barrier found, and Breezy loses a huge chunk of their HP. There's the knockout from I Love Albion on the bottom side. Now with the numbers advantage here for the GOATs. And see if they can convert that into another barrier. Grimella up way far here, taking a huge amount of damage. Double KO is found. The Rasmus is off the map, but the goal's been opened up for both sides in that trade, and they don't find it. Off the flip, Breezy can't get to the core in time, and another goal is found for the GOATs.
And wastes meter crucially. And that extra special Luna Nuke will be targeted right at Breezy off the rip. Has no meter, is stunned up, takes almost their entire health bar instantly.
Yeah, wow. It's just a huge amount of damage output coming in here in such a tight little window. It has been very, very difficult for the Sundubu Strikers to deal with here. And it looks like the comeback starting pretty early here for the Goats. After a 3-0 set number 1 have been showing up huge in the rest of the game thus far, and are going to need this win to take us to our first set number 3 of the new format, our first game number 3 of the new format, rather. So Obscure Bread's knocking it forward. The goal's already been unopened. There's going to be Grimella passing it forward. Threezy Breezy with a huge Flame Flurry to clear things out, but Obscure Breads can't find the angle on the goal in time. They're going to rocket it back away to be able to open up one of those barriers. Grimella's trying to keep up the pressure, but he gets smacked away by Fudgy Waffles, who is very low on the stagger, but can still pump the damage back into Grimella. Threezy now on the bottom side. A flip back from Kilius. Threezy trying to finish off Fudgy Waffles. Here comes the core back over to Kilius. Obscure Breads knocks it down towards the bottom. One more pendulum swing gets blocked away as well. Obscure Breads loses their last barrier, knocks it over to Grimella, down towards the bottom side. Pendulum swing doesn't connect, but Kilius is able to defend. Threezy Breezy ending up with a KO, and Grimella knocking it off the top side, but still can't find their targeted goal, and Albion is still going to be able to knock it aside. I Love Albion stepping forward, but can't get their hands on the core. Obscure Breads knocks it down towards Threezy Breezy. Grimella still just having this core swing all around every side of them, but just can't hit it with the strike. It's just doing orbits around the entire map, Saya, and nobody's able to actually get it pushed forward or passed to any of their teammates. Grimella now off the center, trying to pass it in. Fudgy Waffles with one more dash forward. Can't get it forward either. There's the core flip, and Threezy Breezy somehow finds it off the top corner up against Kilius.
Finally, a great strike to stagger Threezy Breezy, and I Love Albion, with lots of love, was playing so well in the midfield, stalling it out for so long, but Threezy got in front of the goal with the core, almost perfectly centered, and, well, that's just the 50-50 for the goalie. Great play to be in the position at the right time. I Love Albion going for yet another KO, but unable to get it, stuffed once again by the Soundwaves.
Yeah. Really doing a good job of stuffing things away there. There's a big core flip found by Threezy. He goes down, but he finds the second goal barrier for it. Now Obscure Bread's going in with that pendulum swing, can't find the angle. And Fudgy Waffles going to just keep boosting forward to keep that damage up, but they've avoided losing even a single barrier here. Great job by the Sundubu Strikers in this second set so far. Stepping forward, now looking for Threezy. A core flip from Fudgy Waffles going to keep it cleared away, but the whiplash back in from Obscure Breads. Grimella on the bottom. He just can't get his hands on the core this game. It's been very difficult to actually get the shots off here with this Drakkar. There's one more lock and load, though, and Threezy Breezy knocks it right past.
Yeah, and Kilius Rasmus has been scaring me, jump scaring me with the hooks back. And finally the spin there. We'll have to see if they can adapt a little bit more later. But right now, Obscure Breads definitely feeling like the better goalie in this situation on this map.
Yeah, it's just come up with some absolutely incredible defenses, but I Love Albion and Fudgy Waffles, they've got the damage. Grimella just taking a huge chunk there, and Fudgy Waffles constantly finding their marks off the back of these big whammies. He's been making up the difference, and has been allowing for them to score even past Obscure Breads, but a 2-1 lead now in this second set for the Sundubu Strikers means that they might be able to take a 2-0 set lead in this game coming into the third draft. Knocked on away, Threezy Breezy finds a KO off the back of that core flip. Kilius now just trying to buy some time, but the pressure is on. There's a core flip coming in from I Love Albion, knocked aside by Obscure Breads. And Grimella still ready to receive on the bottom. Takes a huge amount of damage, though, as I Love Albion goes on a 4x KO streak. And now going to be Fudgy Waffles up on the top side, just trying to get control of it back, but it finds its way over towards the left side once again.
Yeah, and right now the offense for Goats needs to secure this barrier now. They can't afford to be playing more of this game where Fudgy Waffles is falling off the field. They're losing barriers left and right, especially with Grimella's follow-up on that fantastic pass by Obscure Breads past the Threezy yet again. And once again, the passes continue around the world. The second hit past the hook, and Grimella secures that goal to put the Sundubu Strikers ahead in sets.
2-1 sets here for the side of the Sundubu Strikers. Going into set number 4, they could take one more and be able to call themselves the victors of the entire match. Already with a 1-0 game lead. Let's see what they end up going for here. There's going to be the Egoist for Obscure Breads.
Yeah, and that 1-2 punch taken away by Killiest, but Stagger Swagger, crucial on 3Z Breezy. We'll have so much movement speed in this game. Twin Drive, so good for Luna as well. Everyone getting a lot of what they want here, but the Juliet at the end will be left with the Orb Dancer, the prize fighter being taken away by the Drakkar. So we'll have to keep an eye on Fudgy Waffles and 3Z Breezy. I think those two will determine the fate of this game. They have the power picks. They have been the players that have been making a huge difference.
The Flame Flurry was just ridiculous there from 3Z Breezy, hitting onto all three, holding them down, but it's really going to be Obscure Breads who ends up losing all of their goal barriers at the end of the day. I Love Albion a little bit ahead of 3Z Breezy here, continues to hit the core first, keeping up that pressure. Killiest ends up losing one of theirs, though, and Scrimmella finds the shot onto the second. Stepping forward now, 3Z Breezy down towards Obscure Breads, continuing to push it in towards their Juliet, who is brawling up against the other, and I Love Albion going to end up much worse on Stagger as a result. 3Z Breezy goes in for a nice shot, nice block away from Killiest, goes in for the Death Touch to bring it back in towards themselves. Grimella, it sneaks past him once again, is not going to be able to get it with that Crater. 3Z Breezy finds the KO, though, off the top side. Here's going to be the core flip back away from Killiest to buy some space, but 3Z ready to receive one-on-one up against the goalie, goes in for the punch, knocks it down towards Grimella. One more shot, it's Obscure Breads from downtown with another goal for the Sundubu Strikers.
At the very start of overtime, too, that very start of faster core speed, Obscure Breads with the secondary jump scare from midfield. And this is the power of that stacks on stacks, right? If Obscure can stay alive, can play in that midfield, can defend so much better.
Definitely, but the pressure is on from Fudgy Waffles once again, finding one of those barriers right off the bat. Killiest knocks it back away with a pendulum swing. Fudgy just keeps on dashing forward, keeps on boosting at every single opportunity, and so far has not been able to find too much ground off of it. Obscure Breads dodges away from the Crater once again, but there's going to be that opened up goal. 3Z looking for the KO onto Fudgy. I Love Albion, though, with a big core flip, knocks it back aside and keeps Obscure Breads on his toes. Here's going to be the Flame Flurry up onto the top side. Fudgy not ready to receive, can't knock it in. Another boost forward over towards 3Z, and there's going to be that last barrier. No, a good defense from Killiest blocks it away off the back of that pendulum swing, but there's another KO for 3Z Breezy, and now can they smack it in the rest of the way? Defends up against the pendulum swing. Obscure Breads up towards the center. Grimella now receiving on the top side, down towards 3Z Breezy, right past Killiest, and it's a 2-0 lead. It's match point, it's game point, it's set point for the side of the Sundubu Strikers.
Sundubu Strikers looking to secure it here, as they have the awakenings to do it. They have the gameplay to do it. Their passing plays have just overwhelmed the defenses of the Goats so far. The Luna Nuke comes down, but it's only the edge, and even with the specialized extra special, it's just seeming like the side of Goats Esports is not putting out enough damage right now.
Yeah, the Goats, they've shown flashes of greatness in this series. They were really close to turning around game number 1. They've won a set here in game number 2, but they are going to have to show that again right here, right now, if they want to survive in this series up against the Sundubu Strikers, who now have a numbers advantage and are pressuring on towards the last remaining goal barrier. Knocked back away, Fudgy Waffles clears it out. Here's going to be double damage coming through from I Love Albion, taking both of them low, but both still stand, and they continue to keep on the pressure. Grimella now up off the top, going in with the lock and load. Can't find their way onto the barrier, but 3Z knocks it forward to get one more. Big core flip from Obscure Breads, passed up towards Grimella. Killiest gets the defense, but another pendulum swing keeps it cleared out. Fudgy Waffles now up way too deep, can't get back on the defense in time, and one more shot from 3Z Breezy will close it out for the Sundubu Strikers, a 2-0 win.
2-0, as you said, and the Sundubu Strikers have just been so consistent throughout this game. Their passing plays, their core control, despite the damage coming in from Goats, unlike the first game, it did not ever at any point feel overwhelming. In fact, yeah, the KOs weren't really that much different. Sure, 4 more, but in the spots where they were, it just felt like the Sundubu Strikers were going blow for blow damage-wise.
Yeah, absolutely, and getting so much done here with their picks. The Sundubu Strikers, the Juliet matchup, very, very close, it felt like the whole way through, but Grimella really able to redirect at every point, and it's crazy because the damage across the board really does favor the Goats, but it's not about how much damage you put out, it's about what you're able to get done with the core, and the Sundubu Strikers really showing it there.
Yeah, and Obscure Breads was ridiculous. Was the only one to break from, I guess, the trend of picking Specialized. Picked Glass Cannon, went Stacks when there was Size Up, and ended up with 243 redirects, played basically the entire game in the midfield. Had so much speed to work with.
Yeah, absolutely here. And it really made all the difference. I mean, a fantastic play there across the board for the Sundubu Strikers as they managed to take themselves the victory. Breezy Breezy, always ready with Grimella to be able to capitalize on the angles that Obscure Breads creates for them. And, some of these matches just ended up going in so very deep, going well past overtime, that it really was that goalie difference and the ability to create additional opportunities that made all the difference.
Yep, and well, it looks like that is it for me and you here, Gordo, if I remember correctly.
I believe so.
Two fantastic series.
Yeah, huge amount of fun. Still have not gotten that legendary Game 3, but I'm sure we'll end up with one of them today. I think K-Bot and Lovin are going to take it from here, Saya. So that's going to do it for our block here today, but I assume we'll be back on future weeks, as always. And I know at least I will be. So
Yeah.
thank you, everybody, for tuning in to us. We're going to throw it to another break here. Well, K-Bot and Lovin getting into position, but we're going to be back with more series. The next one up going to be the boys taking on Chat. So it is going to be
That's a spicy one.
Sad Boys. Yeah, Sad Boys taking on Chikara Chatting. So that's a fun one. I don't want to miss that.
Then there's a small chance that Chikara Chatting wins. I believe in them. I'll say it.
Let's take it. Let's get the 3 games there. Bring it in for us, K-Bot.
But yeah, that's it for us. We'll send it to a break, and we'll see you on the other side.